first thing that everyone's mind at CTAD has kind of been the lecanemab news. So with that being said, what was your first initial reaction to the news, and sort of what significance does it have, considering how in-depth the presentation and the analysis was in general?
Sure. So the disclaimer up front is I'm not a neurologist or even a medical doctor. But when I heard the news, the way it came across to me was there's a 27% reduction in decline over placebo, which was, I believe, the first time clinical benefit has been shown. And so for that reason, I was excited that there's a step forward. There's still a lot to be worked out. It like overnight, things became real. I mean, we had been preparing for that, but the question arises is the health system ready for this? So that was my initial reaction.
Yeah, it's exciting to say the least. Obviously, we're now starting to have a little bit more conversations about disease-modifying therapies for Alzheimer's, which is kind of a new sort of era, and obviously with aducanumab's approval last year, this is kind of a different step, and hopefully another breath of fresh air for sure. So that trial was certainly unique in itself, in that there was a ton of different analyses, and the way that they presented it was very, very in depth. But how can we continue to sort of revolutionize Alzheimer's disease trial design specifically?
So I think the industry has gotten really good at designing trials to meet these endpoints, which is amyloid reduction and these kind of things, with a number of functional secondary endpoints. I think that this one, their primary endpoint was the CDR sum of boxes, which, there's different opinions about this, but it is a global scale and endpoint, and they satisfied that criteria as well as all their secondary criteria. What I would like to see in the industry is, a better, lower cost way, a more objective and standardized way to assess both function and pathology, which is, combined, that's the definition of Alzheimer's dementia. So using these digital tools, of course, which I'm heavily involved in, they do give a very accurate assessment of function. And they can give, high sensitivity, increasing specificity, and they really can be a low-cost, high-throughput way to assess individuals for signs, very early signs of little early beginnings of functional impairment that is associated with the disease. So in a nutshell, what do I think on the clinical trials? I think the emerging technologies applied to cohort selection will enable us to better understand the populations that are being analyzed on treatment, and also what kind of functional profile or biological profile responds best to what intervention. So a true step toward personalization. I don't think we're too dissimilar, our industry is too dissimilar from cancer, especially in the early days. We are like, early day chemotherapy maybe is a good analogy, but really getting in that personalization, better understanding of the disease profile and the different kinds of profiles, and seeing what works best for each of them.